I want to welcome you to my 35-minute training program on how to build trust using effective communication. I've used this program over the course of 35 years to help organizations of all sizes, types, both domestically and internationally, to improve performance. It's a two-part program. You can watch it all at once or in two separate settings, however you want to do it. However you watch the video, I highly suggest you watch it 2 or 3 times in total. You will grasp new information each time you watch this. The concepts have been proven over time by organizational assessments before and after the consulting and by organizational performance documentation. You have the luxury of receiving this information and asking questions through the comments section. So let's get started.
In this podcast, I am going to walk you through a basic model of communication and help you see how communication is the vehicle for developing the major components needed to establishing trust. In this model, we will be focusing on an interpersonal communication model. This is where the vast majority communication happens, between one person to another person versus, let's say, mass communication like television, news, or emails.
Hello, I am Carmen, an operations manager with a manufacturing firm. I need to call Ali, our international marketing manager, and discuss a problem with his marketing plan. Ali is a Middle Eastern man with very traditional values and doesn't care much for women's opinions. He lives in Saudi Arabia but was received his MBA from Harvard. I need to call him today and discuss his marketing plan.
Let's take a moment and assess Carmen's situation. So, Carmen's communication objective is to create a message that Ali clearly receives and understands the meaning of the message the way Carmen intended it and accepts the meaning as intended by Carmen. Now is a great time to pause and take a look at what needs to go into creating an effective message. So, I want to use a child's teeter-totter to represent the balance needed to develop trust. I want to use harm as a means of understanding the balance needed for trust to develop. Why harm? Because harm impacts both trust and fear. It plays a role in both. At some point in your childhood, you may have been on a teeter-totter with another child. When the other child's feet reached the ground, they stopped the movement, leaving you in the air. At this point, you are left as the air, and the other child has control over whether you are let back down or not. Up until this point, you trusted the other child would allow each of you to have a turn touching the ground, so you could teeter-totter back and forth. Now, they have stopped, with you in the air. If you want back on the ground, you have to give them something they want. At an early age, this could instill fear. In a way, the other child has control over you being harmed. Before, when you both were touching the ground while teeter-tottering, each of you had an equal opportunity to put the other in the air and hold them there. You trusted the other child would not decide to stop and hold you in the air. They did, and now you don't trust the child anymore. Even if they say they were kidding, and they are your friend, there is still a small amount of distrust you have towards the other child. Let's use a symbol to represent the same thought. The scales of justice represent a way of thinking about equality and fairness. Think about the trays hanging on the scale as representing two different people. Now think about the ability to do harm as the weight we will assign each tray. When we assign harm equally in each tray, the scales of fairness and equity are balanced. Each person has the same ability to do harm as the other. If harm is balanced equally between two people, the parties trust each will not inflict harm for fear of equal retaliation by the other. This principle is applied across several situations, from relationships to nuclear attacks. Now, we know in reality there is hardly ever perfect balance, particularly when it comes to people and their behavior. So, harm becomes a matter of how much imbalance people have over each other. The more harm one person can do to another person, the less fairness and equity there is between them, consequently, the more fear one person has about another person. This is true whether the harm is physical or emotional. Like the teeter-totter example, a person's fear will lead to distrust.